and welcome to the Enchantress Society with Tia Johnson, a place where you get to be you, where you get to unlock your magic in a sacred and judgment-free zone. The Enchantress Society is your witchy sisterhood of enchanting women who guides and supports you along your spiritual journey from the mundane to the magical. I invite you to sit for a spell as I interview guests and spill the spiritual tea on how we can create the magical life we deserve. Hello, Enchantress. I hope your day is going well. I hope that you have had a lovely week thus far, and I hope that your week will be great, the remainder of it. All right, so I'm so excited to talk about this because I already knew this was going to be great, and I needed time. Ooh, I can't. Oh, I was so excited to talk about this. All right, so before we get into that, you know that we have to do some housekeeping. So if we are not connected on Instagram, we need to remedy the situation. Connect with me at cosmic_goddess. I don't even know my own handle. Cosmic Witch Goddess. So cosmic_witch_goddess. And the podcast page is Enchantress_society_podcast. The links are in the description of this episode. All right, I want to get right to it. So I would say about 2 months ago on my Insta stories, I explained how I just absolutely love Black is King, and I was going to do a podcast episode about it. And this is why I encourage you to connect with me on Instagram, because my Insta stories are where I connect with my community on a daily basis. And I give the mini trainings, all that jazz. Sometimes it's just some fun things, and it's a great place to be. And so right after I watched Black is King, I just took to Instagram and I just said, I have to talk about this. Now, I know I'm 2 years late. Okay. It came out in 2020. And I have to say this is the only thing that I looked up about Black is King, because I didn't want to know anything else about it. I wanted to just watch it with a clean, clear mind. Okay. The only thing I did besides look up when it came out, because I felt like, oh man, I know it's been about a year, but it was 2 years, was I watched how people broke down some of the symbolisms and so forth. But as far as critics, no, thank you. Not to knock the critics, but I can make my own decisions. So I already knew it was going to be good. We have Queen Beyonce, Virgo sister. She's a Virgo. I mean, like, it's beyond, like, who was going to question that besides cough haters? Anyway, I cried the first couple of minutes into it. It's something about the vibe alone. Hearing James Earl Jones's voice, and I was just so moved. Here's the thing. I wasn't ready to watch it in 2020. A couple of episodes, or let me see, what was it? Episode 384. Let's take a moment. I talked about reflecting on the last couple of years and how far we have come, all that jazz. 2020 was a mental strain. That's the best way I can put it, among other things. And I knew how powerful that, I don't even know what to call it. It's like, it's epic. It's just like, just artwork. this masterpiece. I knew this masterpiece was powerful, and I just wasn't in the right mind frame at the time. And I didn't realize 2021 went by, and here I am. I was ready for it, ready to receive the messages, ready to receive this masterpiece. And I loved it on so many levels because, man, the choreography, the colors, the storytelling, the symbolism, the African aspect to it, the celestial aspect to it, the journey Beyonce takes us through. I'm starting to get a little teary-eyed right now talking about it. If you have seen Black is King in 2020, watch it again. You're not the same person you were in 2020. I don't even care if you saw it in 2021. Watch it again. I wanted to have this episode in particular because it's so easy for us to get distracted by the world, distracted by certain people around us, distracted by a road detour, distracted by an email that's unfavorable, all these things, people being petty. It's easy to do that. And we have to remember to zoom out and remember who we are. One of the continual themes of Black is King is the question, who are you? Right? Who are you? And remember who you are. In my first book, I had a quote by Mark Twain that stated, and I'm paraphrasing, the two most important days in one's life is the day they were born and the day they find out why, or like the day they like basically know who they are, their purpose. And the journey the journey I took through Black is King was a reminder of cycles, reminder of the divine feminine, reminder of the power of African spirituality, the power of the goddess, the power of understanding your journey, even if you don't know it entirely, even if it looks crazy and you're thinking, man, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this. Remember who you are. I don't think enough people ask themselves, who am I? Look in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I? What do I want? What do I desire? What are my purposes? Who are the players in my life? What are the cycles I'm going through right now? I talked about in the previous episode about how certain things were demonized over the years. The nighttime, the color black, so forth. And Black is King is about remembering many aspects of self that also have been dismissed, demonized, oppressed. And you see, for example, this little boy go on his journey. And, it has the connection with the Lion King and great things like that. And a lot of the things we deal with in adulthood stem from childhood. And unless we focus on deprogramming, we're going to be stuck. We don't know what we don't know, and we don't know some of the things that we need to deprogram unless we go on a journey. Myself included, I deprogrammed so much within. And the more I learned, initially, I was irate when I learned about women mysteries, when I first learned about the divine feminine and how menstrual cycles were demonized, even though there's magic in that. And I talked about that in a few episodes back. I had an expert come in and talk about the power of menstrual magic. And you can Google it. Google Tia Johnson menstrual magic episode. I don't remember the episode number. And also, I have very few notes for this episode because I want to talk from the heart, especially, which is why I am holding back tears of joy and release, because I want this to be, it's not as raw as it was like after I watched Black is King, and I could not have recorded afterwards because I was processing and savoring that moment. I did go on, like I said, Instagram stories to talk a little bit about it, but I really had to process it. And literally, it's a couple of months after I watched Black is King. This is how powerful this masterpiece is. And I want to also say this, and I may have said this earlier in the show, but I want to reiterate it if I did. I know I said it in a previous episode. Whatever people try to oppress is where the strength, where the power, where the everything resides. The knowing. Think about it. When a group of people want to oppress the divine feminine, why is that? When a group of people want to oppress the dark feminine, why is that? When people want to oppress the knowledge, why is that? When people want to distract you from asking the question, who are you? Why is that? Because they can't control you. The moon is a reoccurring symbol in Black is King. And we can go on and on and on about the meaning of the moon and so forth. And I encourage you to connect with lunar goddesses, lunar energy, and understand your own personal cycles. Even learning your moon sign. My moon sign is in Pisces. Once I learned that changed my world. I was able to understand so much more about myself and my own world, how I operate in the world because of my Pisces moon. And those of you who are Pisces and or have Pisces moon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's crazy. Also, you see the boy basically coming from space. He's like a comet coming down. And I'm not going to give up too much about Black is King in case you did not see it, in case you are like me and you needed time. Okay, we are of the stars. We are. Some of us are star seeds and we know it. Some don't know. And it's so interesting because I see certain people and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's not for me to go up to people and like, hey, you're this. They're on their own journey, because if you told me certain things, 5-10 years ago, I would think, oh, okay, yeah, all right. And I would go on about my business. So knowing who you are, understanding that even, what's this name? Hold on. I am going to look this up because I want to make sure I get his name right. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I always want to say Degrasse. It's deGrasse. Tyson, the astrophysicist. He talked about in an interview what we're made up of, the 4 ingredients. And I saved it on my Instagram because I saw it on Instagram. And he basically said, like, the universe, et cetera, is made up of these 4 things. We are the universe. And Black is King serves as a reminder, among so many other things, about who we are, about the power of African spirituality, about the power of the journey, the power of knowing who you are. This is why I work so hard in my masterminds with my clients as well, with the foundational, the framework first, before I even tap into discussing magic spells and things like that. If you notice, I don't post, this spell, that spell. Every now and then I may post some ingredients or what you can do. And I'm not knocking people who do post that because it has helped me. I'm not knocking it, but I know my purposes, and my purposes involved, in this case, a lot of framework, foundational work. Because if you're able to understand your needs and wants, understand your sensuality, your sexuality, understand your spiritual gifts, and practice that like a muscle, just keep working at it and dive deeper, keep going, keep going, keep going. You will know who you are. You will remember who you are, and you will be more of an observer in the world and help in other areas. And what I mean is, going back to the top of the episode where I said things that are distractions. I got rid of my cable. Okay. I couldn't take it. Some news outlets, unfortunately, tell you how to think. So I pull my sources from multiple areas. It's just like in school when our teachers would tell us you need more than one source. You can't write a paper with just one source, right? In school, I remember my teacher would say you need at least 3 sources. When you are getting your home repaired, what do people tell you? Get a second quote, get a third quote. When you go to the doctor and you have to get surgery, what do people tend to tell you? Get a second opinion. But when it comes to things like certain world events, it's nope, this is the outlet I'm watching. I don't care what you say. I don't want to have a conversation. I'm right. You're wrong. I don't care. And it's just like, well, that's just not right. It's not fair. It's not right. And some people can say, well, life isn't fair. Okay, yeah. But again, that's cherry picking. Okay, so if we can zoom out, sidestep that, understand who we can have conversations with and how deep we can go with people regarding certain conversations, our life gets better. And when we go deeper into who we are, deeper, we deprogram, we remember, we get strong. Reality shifts happen. Our frequency has now been strengthened to the right frequency. We changed the station, okay? And life gets a hell of a lot better. One thing I love about spirituality is that it's different for everyone. And a lot of people I work with are very private about their spirituality. And that's great because some parts of spirituality should be private, catered just for you. This is one reason why you don't see too many advanced books in spirituality. You might get to an intermediate level because the path is on you now. So when you go on this path of remembering, you start to pick up on all the symbols that are around you. I remember a few years ago when I was in physical therapy for my foot, and I was on, I forget, I think it was like the 6th floor, and there was a building just across the way, and it was a little bit higher, and I can see the architecture, and it had all these particular shapes and things like that. And I thought to myself, I used to draw those same shapes when I was a kid. Then I saw some other shapes. Then I started reading different books, and I started seeing some of these shapes. And I thought, oh my goodness, I left myself breadcrumbs, clues to help me remember who I am. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. There is no way as a kid I would know to draw some of these symbols. They're just not like, no way. No way. And then they happen to mean something. I don't believe in coincidences. So this masterpiece, Black is King, it needs to be in the Library of Congress. It needs to, like the raw film, it needs to be in a titanium safe in Fort Knox. Wow. One of my goals is to have a school. And in that school, I would love to have a curriculum that focuses on spirituality, just understanding, nurturing the kids, things like that, because too many times I've heard stories about people who, and this comes from their teachers at times, just dismissed them, wrote them off, things like that, even older people. And imagine if children were to see this masterpiece in grade school, and then again in high school, and later on in life. Different cycles, different times, or maybe they just need to see it one time in life, a certain point, and that's it. Black is King is something that you just really have to behold. You just really need to take it in. I don't even think I ate when I was watching it. I had so many cry sessions watching Black is King. It was a release. It was a joyful release. And I just felt so thankful because of the remembrance, just educating and telling people, remember. Now, I get it. This isn't for everyone. I totally get it. And I'm pretty sure, Queen Beyonce is aware that she's not for everyone, right? I get that. And as long as you answer the call, you know it's for you. That nudge. And that's what it's about, building blocks. I was going to say I started off, but actually, no, it started off as a kid. I would have visions with my own eyes and premonition dreams and so many things. And when my grandparents passed and I started reading about spirituality, that's when I became conscious of what was going on, because beforehand, I thought it was pretty much normal. Because I talked to my grandmother about it and it didn't faze her because she was all about dreams and numbers. And if you've been if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that my grandmother, she would take whatever symbol she had in her dreams and she would cross-reference it with all these dream books, dream lotto books. And she would take the numbers. So, for example, if she saw a black cat, let's say the number would be like 627. She would do some cross reference with her dream books. She would play the lottery and hit. She used to be able to pinpoint when my birthday would come out. So I used to tell people, play my birthday, the month of August, around this time. But you got to keep up because, sometimes it comes out this day, not that day. So it didn't faze her when I told her about my dreams and my vision and things like that. And when my grandparents passed, I was so close to them. I started reading Sylvia Browne books because we used to watch Sylvia Browne on the Montel Williams show on Wednesday. She would be on there. So I thought, well, Sylvia Browne must know what's going on. And from there, led to something else and something else. Building blocks. Then I started learning about angels, Reiki, chakras, dreams, crystals, goddesses. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So you have to give yourself the space and grace to dive into this, because eventually shadow work is going to knock on your door. It's not pretty. It's worth it. The other side of it is freedom and healing and knowing. Freedom, healing, knowing. Okay. Just need a little breather. I keep seeing this one vision, so I'm guessing Spirit must be to bring this up. It's this one part of the movie, and I'm not going to say any other parts because I don't want to spoil it, but I keep getting this vision where the men usher the woman, they lift her up and then they carry her, to like the back, basically, like above them and around. Also remember, there's going to be a lot of shedding. I looked up this one YouTube video, talked about like it being a snake and like the woman's being devoured, but also it's like shedding and things like that. And so when you are growing, when you are expanding, you have to shed the old you. So it's a spiritual death in a way, and also a reality timeline jump. It's just like the old you're shifting, you're not going backwards. It reminds me of, I know I mentioned this before, but it's one of my favorite quotes. And I had to remember the president's name. It's one of the presidents of Ghana. And his saying was, forwards ever, backwards never. And when I was in Ghana and the guy was explaining to us, that philosophy and things like that, I thought, that is one of the best friggin' quotes I've heard in my life. One of the best. Forwards ever, backwards never. There is nothing to be gained by going backwards. You must shed the old you. The old you must have a spiritual death. Because here's the thing. You can carry old aspects of you and expect to be in the frequency of this massive abundance. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not working towards getting better and better and better. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't want people to think like, oh, but what if I, have like some issues with money or love or boundaries and I'm working through it. No. If you're working through it, that's different. What I'm talking about is you've done the work, but you still want to gossip a lot about the same things. You've done the work, but you're still entertaining old, quote unquote, friends that don't want to grow and expand. You've done the work, but you're still eating very unhealthy. Again, this isn't about having pizza with the ladies, on a Friday night and, your wine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about consistently eating very bad food, consistently entertaining drama, negativity, trying to bring your friend from grade school, which I get, but you can't bring everyone with you. And when I say this, some people go, oh, but Tia, that's my friend from the second grade. That's my friend from, when we were at the this school or that. I get that. And I'm all about loyalty and friendship and all that jazz. But here's the thing. If they aren't growing in their own right, they will for sure bring you down. I have seen this happen with several people. And when I think about it, it breaks my heart in a way because I see so much in people. And sometimes people are afraid of their own success. They're afraid of leaving people behind. They're afraid of what people may say. They're afraid of being quote unquote Hollywood. They're afraid of this and this and this. Listen, if they are for you, they are for you. Full stop. Now, I don't know if this is me being a Virgo where I have no problem cutting people off. Sometimes too good. I have to be like, all right, today, all right. But what I'm saying is you are remembering who you are. You are a badass divine being. And like I tell people and they laugh, they go, oh, Tia, you're crazy. But no, I am really here to help. Like literally, I am here to help. So what I'm saying is when you are on this path of remembering who you are, you're honoring yourself, you're understanding your divinity, the power, and you are, okay, so it's like what I have on my website where I say we're like X-Men and, you know, Professor Xavier goes out to find gifted children to go to his gifted school. And they have these powers that they don't know exactly how to use. Some of them know it, but they need to really own it, things like that. Or sometimes they're really hot-headed and, you know, they don't really know how to control their powers. It's like that. And like, I am Professor Xavier, but I'm also the student because I'm always learning. And my closest friends, oh yeah, they challenge me. Okay. Because that's the space that I'm in and that I love to be in, to help people, to help them understand who they are, to help them to grow, to give them that space and grace where they feel safe, seen, and heard. And also, I'm not above learning. I'm not above continued growth and expansion. I've said this many times on a podcast where my one friend, he checked me, but he did it in a good way. He pulled me aside and he goes, you know, Tia, I don't know if you realize this, but you do X, Y, Z. And I'm wondering if you do that in your business. And I thought, oh my gosh, I had no idea that that was a thing, but I listened because I respect him and I know where he's coming from. And I know he respects me and I know he wants me to succeed no matter what. And so I corrected myself. And all these things are building blocks. So this is why I tell people, pay attention to who you are receiving advice from and where they're coming from. So you can go on this journey like the boy in Black is King and understand a lot. And sometimes the people who look shady aren't always shady. This one part where the guy asks the kid, like, who are you? And it gets kind of crazy, like, oh my gosh. And they're laughing at him and things like that. It is a bit of a whirlwind. It is because, again, you're shedding the old you. You have to release a lot. And that involves you going to the depths of yourself. The underworld in many ways. You got to go. You got to go. All right. If you truly want to live a life where you show up as yourself 100%, where you can be an observer of the distractions and operate in other areas, you have to push yourself to that, what I call point of no return. It's, I am here. I am going to learn about myself. I am going to grow. I'm going to release what needs to release. I'm going to have perspective shifts. I'm going to read and educate myself. I'm going to focus on what I pour in my mind and in my body. And in doing so, you will see that you can truly create the world that you want to live in. That doesn't mean that unfortunate things won't happen. It means now you're better equipped to handle them. You can understand other things too. For example, if your car breaks down, that's an unfortunate event. But instead of, being like Joe Pesci in Home Alone, where you're like, doing all that, you're just like, oh man, like I really need to be somewhere at this time, but it's out of my control. So you're not going to spend all this extra energy because it's out of your control. And yes, there will be times where you will spend that energy. And sometimes, as I say, the gloves got to come off. Okay. And you got to let people know what time it is. All right. But with certain things, you'll know it's out of my control. We're going to have to wait for AAA. There's nothing I can do about this. My apologies. The car hit a pothole. We have a flat tire. I am so sorry. There's nothing else you can do, right? So, why I love Black is King. I can go on and on and on about this. I know that when a movie touches my soul like that, it is truly something special. I was also thinking, when was the last time I cried like that? There are two other occasions with movies where it's a really deep soul good cry. Now, those of you of a certain age, when I say this movie, you're going to say, oh shit, oh man, Tia, okay. Imitation of Life. I cried so hard at the end of that movie. When I was a kid, it touched my soul. That movie, a masterpiece. The other movie is my all-time favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life. Because It's a Wonderful Life, it shows the impact one person has on people's lives and the beauty of life. And when you appreciate that and you appreciate the people around you, man, what a beautiful thing. So I'm going to end it with this because I'm going to tear you out all over again, because I'm telling you, Black is King is a freaking masterpiece. I don't care what anyone says. Fight me. No, but in all seriousness, that sense of remembering Beyonce, her family, the little boy that goes on his journey, James Earl Jones' powerful voice, the artist that she had in there, the music, the symbolism, the educational portion. It's needed. It's needed. And the more we understand the journey, embrace it, work with our higher selves, the universe, goddesses, and the gods too, the better life we'll get. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So remember who you are. Ask yourself, who are you? Start paying attention to what you see around you. For example, I've been saying this on Instagram, and I actually been documenting this. Sevens have been following me. I've been seeing sevens in the most random places when I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just like, okay. Certain colors, just start paying attention to the symbols. They're all there. Start listening to yourself. Start understanding how you receive messages. Start understanding your needs and your wants, your desires. Start understanding why things are being oppressed, why certain people are being oppressed, why certain things were outlawed. There's strength in that. There's knowing in that. All right. It's on Disney Plus. In case you didn't know. So if you don't have Disney Plus, go over to your friend's house, tell them to leave you alone so you can watch it, or maybe watch it with them if they can be quiet. and have some tissues with you, maybe some water. And on that note, I am sending you so much love, many, many magical blessings. You know, I am rooting for you. Remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, Magical One. Let's keep in touch. Join the VIP email list by going to tiamariejohnson.com. And as always, I'm sending you lots of love, many blessings. I'm rooting for you. And remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time.